If this beast has the ability to change the topography of Krull, you are in over your heads, friend.
They are so krulled, it's not even funny.
It's a cruel world out there, James.
Cruel and all over cruel? That's just plain cruel.
It's a cruel-tastrophe.
Did you ever throw out any Krull puns when you were watching this? Like, shut the Krull up, or like, he's gonna Krull himself. Or he's gonna get himself Krulled.
I watched it by myself, so...
Just Krull him already.
If I was watching with a group, you better believe I would have been crueling out.
What is poppin', corn kernels? We are back, and we are sounding pretty fresh. I gotta say, Nick, something's looking a little different over there. What's going on?
It's the same thing I can say about you, my friend. It looks like we got ourselves a couple of new microphones. You know, sometimes you go through a season, you try it out, find out you like it, and invest a little bit in it.
We figured we might as well sound good and hopefully look good for each other.
Well, you look great.
We are watching a very, very capital D different movie. This movie I never heard before, and I'm pretty sure you brought this to the table when we were researching box office bombs, obscure movies, 80s movies. That's exactly what we got here. All three of those things.
Yeah, we've explained it on this podcast before, but one thing we wanted to do when we started this was not just review movies that everybody's seen and has an opinion on. We want to find those movies that have been lost to time, that are infamous in one way or the other, maybe have a cult following, and do our honest reviews on them. And this fits all of the categories. So, James, why don't you tell the audience what we're watching this week?
I think we should just say the title together on three. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
1, 2, 3. Krull.
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 Krull. Krull.
Yeah, no idea. I thought it was cruel, but they only actually say it in the movie a couple times.
They don't teach you how to say this in Hooked on Phonics, James. I don't see these letters together, ever.
It's kind of like Skrulls, like from the Marvel comics, but it's just missing the S. So I guess Skrull, Krull. But then it sounds like Nick Kroll, and it's not Krull with an O, it's a U, so it's like Krull.
I couldn't hear the difference, but
there was a subtle like mouth movement difference, like Krull.
Krull.
So this movie, it seems like it's a third place option for movies like Labyrinth or Conan the Barbarian. It's really kind of up that alley of 80s fantasy movies because I didn't know what to expect. I think I saw a couple trailers or pictures and it looked like it was like a space movie because it looked like there was an alien and maybe a spaceship I saw on a poster somewhere. But this is kind of like got Princess Bride.
Yeah, it's like a medieval time period piece.
It's medieval. And so that's why it's like, oh, this looks a little bit more like Labyrinth or Neverending Story, kind of like a fever dream movie.
It's odd.
It was bizarre. And that's why we're here, ladies and gentlemen. We live for this shit. So this movie is directed by Peter Yates, who he did direct a movie that I did recognize. I don't know if I...
Bullet. Steve McQueen's Bullet.
Yeah, I remember looking him up, and his top four actually was Krull and Robbery, The Dresser, and last but not least, Bullet, which is the only movie I recognize and have actually seen before. Other than that, this is it. This is his.
This is going to be a theme as we go through this movie and we look at the actors and the players involved in this. Is that it's not you're not going to see well-known people in this movie.
You will see two, definitely the most successful after this movie, and they're complete side characters, which was great. But yeah, the main cast, never heard of them.
Yeah, and a lot of their credits, it's like Krull and then one or two more, and then they got out of the game. I think a lot of people were expecting their career to be made on Krull, and
it's not Krull. It's Krull.
Krull
or Krell. There's some British actors in here. It is very like Monty Python-esque as well.
Yeah, so this was actually greenlit as a collaborative studio project between UK studios and American studios.
Totally makes sense.
they were trying to bridge the gap and say, let's go after both populations and we're going to make it big and it's going to appeal to both audiences. Turns out they just made it appeal to no audiences. In the words of Ron Swanson, never half-ass. You got to go full ass in one direction. And they did not do that.
This movie did not go full ass. It went no ass.
No ass.
Well, speaking of no ass and no names, who's in this movie, Nick?
Yeah, we have Ken Marshall, Lisette Anthony, and Freddie Jones.
I love how Lisette Anthony was the top second bill because she barely doesn't really do anything.
She does nothing.
Yeah, she gets captured. Spoilers. She gets captured and then she's just like a hostage the whole time and barely has any scenes.
I appreciate that her character, Lisette's character, is Lissa. And part of me thinks that they couldn't come up with a character name and they were like, you know what? It'll just be easier to call her Lissa on set.
There's a lot of weird like names in here, so definitely going with that fantasy element. But ladies and gentlemen, I did drop a little breadcrumb in the beginning. Yep, you gotta hit that fire alarm. Call in the bomb squad.
Oh, what is that, James?
It's coming. It's thumping. It's coming up, and it's gonna be a big old bomb, baby, at the box office.
Bombastic reviews. You just got blown up. The Bomba Yaga. Bombastic. It sucks.
If you're a new listener to the channel, what happens is if there is a box office bomb movie, one of us needs to guess the budget and the box office return by the end of it, while the other one supplies the reveal. To qualify as a bomb, a movie needs to not make back at least 60% of its budget. That's the only thing we're going off of. Once we talk through this movie, after we've watched this movie and discuss it in detail, one of us will make an educated guess of the budget and just kind of do a shot in the dark for the return. Now, this week, I am the one guessing, which is not my favorite position. I like being the know-it-all, but Nick, you have the answer.
I do.
Of how much this movie cost and how much this movie lost.
So as far as cost goes, James, it's incumbent upon you to pay attention to all this plot to see all of the visual effects, all of the sets that we go through, you know, which actors are in there. So
yeah, the actors are going to be a wild card because, like we said, who are these guys? We're dealing with Krull. It's going to be quite the ride, so please strap in. And I'm going to go ahead and read the log line for Peter Yates's Krull. A prince and a fellowship of companions set out to rescue his bride from a fortress of alien invaders who have arrived on their home planet, Krull.
Krull.
Or Krell. So like I said, I think, is the narrator the old man, Ynir? Is that Freddie Jones?
I think that was his voice.
Because Freddie Jones is one of the British actors. He's from the British side of the operation. He gives us our always beloved plot device of before the movie starts, we need instructions. So this one comes in the form of a narrator. And I believe it sounds like he pronounced it as Krell. But I don't know if that's just from his British accent.
The world of Krull.
I think it's British accent.
Yeah, so we're just going to say Krull. I'm saying Krull. Krull.
It's our podcast, and we call it Krull.
Yeah, this is America. Let's dive into Krull and do that with some good old plot talk.
Plot talk.
So we open on planet Krull. So right off the bat, we're like, okay, Krull is a planet. Like, that's why this is called Krull. Okay, it's starting to make a little sense. And we get a narrator's voiceover. From the voiceover and the imagery that we get, I'm thinking, okay, I was expecting fantasy sci-fi, and we're looking like it's a medieval movie.
It does start out as space sci-fi, though, because there is it doesn't look like a ship. Nick, how would you describe how the ship looks like? Which isn't even a ship, it's a floating fortress.
The Black Fortress.
Because I have a description for it, but I just want to see how you saw it.
It looks like the Emerald Castle from Wizard of Oz, but if it was all black.
For me, it looked like a charred tree trunk.
There you go.
Right off the bat, I'm thinking Star Wars. Because it starts out with the huge fortress slowly coming into screen. And I'm like, this is just like the beginning of A New Hope. And then it kind of clicked I was like, oh, 1983. A New Hope was 79, I think.
Yeah, Return of the Jedi came out the same year.
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back, I believe, was 1980.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, I'm thinking, copycat. They want to copy the secret sauce, get that secret formula, and make that Krabby Patty to make those Krabby Patty Star Wars bucks. Now we'll see if this chum bucket can pull it off, or if it will just fall victim to history and be, in fact, a chum bucket.
I just am blown away by the SpongeBob references, but I like it. So we have our voiceover from our narrator, and he basically what he tells us is a girl of ancient name that shall become queen, and she shall choose a king, and that together they shall rule their world, and their son shall rule the galaxy.
Boom.
Again, I'm seeing galaxy. We're seeing the Black Fortress, and I'm like, okay.
Even that log line says alien invaders, so you're thinking, cool, space movie.
Krull.
From here on out, it is completely medieval.
100%. Swords.
I mean, there is
horseback.
Still alien sci-fi elements, but the whole aesthetic and the settings and the weapon technology of the good guys from Krull, knights in shining armor, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, it's very Lord of the Rings-ish.
It wasn't what I was expecting. I was thinking it was going to be, after I saw the first shot of the fortress floating in space, I was thinking, okay, knock off Star Wars. Here we go.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they land, it is a hokey ass looking motherfucking swords, horses, shit show.
Couldn't have said it better myself, James. So we get this prophecy of they shall meet a king, and you're like, okay, so maybe that's part of the story. No, in the first 5 minutes of this film, we find out who's getting married to who. So we have Prince Colwyn.
I think it's Colwyn.
Played by Ken Colwyn. Again, it's the British accent. They say Colwyn, and I'm like, is that O-A-O?
Colwyn. I'm from the London side of Krull.
Am I talking to a British guy here? Because that sounded spot on there.
Is Freddie Jones in the booth? I didn't know that.
Damn. So we have our Prince Colwyn, played by Ken Marshall, and our Princess Lissa, by the aforementioned Lisette Anthony. And they're going to get married, and they're going to form an alliance between their rival kingdoms in the hopes that in their combined forces can defeat this beast's army. So this alien invasion is known as the Beast.
There's literally an alien invasion, and that's not enough to unite the two rival houses of this planet. They're like, no, we got to seal the deal with a marriage. It's not legit unless your daughter marries my son.
This isn't the medieval times. We're in space now. We could be a little more progressive here.
But they're stuck in Shakespearean times because this is very much a Romeo and Juliet situation. It's like House Capulet and House Montague don't like each other, but the royal kids of those two houses secretly do. Because when they get together, it's not like an arranged marriage at all. It's not like they're like, ugh, I got to get with this tool. They're very much in love. They're DTM at this point to save the planet.
Yeah, and as soon as they're about to get married and exchange their ceremony, we get the Slayers. Now, these are the minions of the Beast, and they attack the ceremony. They kill the two kings, right? Lissa's dad and Colwyn's dad, devastates both armies, knocks out Colwyn, and kidnap the princess. I mean, it's just a fiasco. It's a free-for-all in that castle.
A couple things here. One, for me, keeping track of the budget, I'm looking at the sets already off the bat. The sets, they look very impressive. There is a lot of extras out there, a lot of horseback riding, a lot of stunts, the costumes. Can you describe what the Slayers look like to the listeners? Because they're kind of hard to describe, actually.
They're very hard to describe. And this is why I made the comparison to Lord of the Rings earlier. I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. Enjoy it. But I'm trying to remember the name of the characters who were in like the big suits of armor, but they didn't have faces, right? Their faces were just like a black hole.
So they kind of look like, the color scheme looks like an underwater deep diver. Well, this one in particular, but some of them have like white armor, and some of them, I don't know if they're trying to copy like the stormtrooper look. But they do look very like wrinkly and alien skin like, and their I don't know if they're heads or if they're helmets. They look like helmets. And I don't know if that's a cowl or if those are like big ears. but they look bizarre. It's very difficult to describe what the hell these slayers are supposed to be, but they're aliens, essentially. Now, 3, it does get a little piratey. Colwyn does do a little bit of swashbuckling swordsmanship. He kind of hops up, and I remember when we were talking about Cutthroat Island, you're like, why is it that whenever there's a sword fight, people hop up on boxes and like precarious edges of the room? He even swings unnecessarily from a rope across the room. It's like, you're not going from boat to boat. I don't know. It seemed like they were trying to, it was like space, medieval, pirate vibes. I'm like, what the hell is going on? This, as you would say, this seemed very schlocky.
It really felt like a stunt choreographer was really proud of themselves. Right off the bat, in this fight, you start to notice that there's a technology mismatch that's happening.
And this is through the whole movie.
There's no denying it. Colwyn and his army and all of the guards in this castle, they're using swords.
Regular ass swords.
Swords.
OG swords.
Not the sword of Damocles. So they have swords, and these slayers they have laser guns. They also have swords, but their swords, when they make contact, spark red lightning.
So I thought they were trying to copy the lightsaber swag.
Could have.
But I didn't know if that was just theirs doing that or if it was both swords. But yeah, their swords also can shoot blasters.
Yeah, they shoot laser beams.
Yeah, their swords can shoot laser beams, and losers on Krull only have regular swords. They didn't upgrade.
So I don't know how these people were planning on defending themselves from these alien invaders, from the Beast and his slayers. Because at no point did I look at this and say, okay, they're on equal footing. The Beast is clearly more advanced.
I mean, I guess that would kind of be like other alien movies with Earth. You know, the aliens come in and fuck shit up, and they usually have like better weapons than us. Like they have like incinerator guns, and we just have like our regular guns. But sword versus blaster is a little lopsided.
There are certain steps to weaponry that you could put yourself on the same plane on. Like, once someone has projectiles and you don't, it's over. Like, it goes from like blunt object, sharp object, projectiles, missiles, planes, aerial. Like there's certain steps.
I think there was an episode of Deadliest Warrior, that show on Spike TV, where they would look at historical warriors and pin them against each other in a computer simulation and then reenact it out. And I'm pretty sure they did pirates versus Knights of the Round Table, and the pirate had a blunderbuss.
Had a blunderbuss. Yeah.
So it's like, just whip that out, pop, drop that stupid ass knight with his dumb ass sword.
The second you have projectiles, the whole game changes. And when they're laser beam projectiles,
people at Krull were like, whoa, we're doing this all wrong.
The huge technology mismatch.
Yeah. Lissa's taken, Colwyn's dad's dead, and he is crying. And this guy named the Old One, aka his name is Ynir, played by Freddie Jones, he basically comes in and says like, quit your bitching. Like, so what? You got a dead dad. Who cares?
Can we give some love to Freddie Jones from Dune, Count of Monte Cristo? You'd probably recognize him. You know, if you watch old kind of cult classic movies, you'll recognize who he is. But yeah, he really comes in and he's like, there's no time to grieve.
Yeah, he's like, what? He's like, what kind of king are you, crying on the staircase? It's like,
I've been a king for 2 seconds. The king just got murdered. My dad. It's like, I was looking for a king, not a boy.
Not a loser.
Really shakes it off well for Colwyn.
Oh yeah.
Colwyn saying, hey, I want to go find Lissa and I want to go get her back. And Ynir tells him, you can't, like, you're not strong enough. And he's like, well, then what do I have to do? Ynir tells him about this glaive.
It's like a mythical, powerful weapon.
He's like, oh, that's just a legend. And this is like, this is one of the multiple times, and I'll bring it up a lot, where I'm like, are we in the medieval times with mythical weapons, or are we in space?
Both.
Because for the next like 30 minutes, we're no longer in space. We're just like in the Highlands with castles. So what are we doing? So we got to go get the glaive.
Well, speaking of Highlands, they really spend their time on some sequences that could really be cut down in this movie, aka this rock climbing scene that they actually had this dude out climbing a mountain, whether it was what's his nuts, Ken Marshall, or a stuntman. Like that, they actually had some dude just walking up this steep ass slope. And I'm like, wow, they're really just letting us watch this whole process.
In the overly dramatic, like Disney music playing in the background.
James Horner is on the track for Krull.
He was having the time of his life.
He's done Avatar, The Mask of Zorro, Titanic. Yeah, I think I recognize his name from Titanic. But he be swelling on this Krull joint. Ynir says, not anyone can go get it. You have to be the right man to go get it. All right, I guess you can make a whole movie out of that.
Wait, Colwyn has this thing. He goes, it has to be the right man. And Colwyn looks at him and goes, am I that man?
For only the right man can retrieve the glaive.
Am I that
man? He's really giddy. This will be fun. I'll
For all these things
it.
that are quote unquote legends, he's like, he buys into it pretty quick.
Colwyn climbs up this big ass mountain to go get the glaive. The glaive is in a cave at the top of a mountain. Nick, explain what happens here. Seems like it's going to be this huge, difficult task.
Yeah, he ends up into this cave where there's just lava flowing. There's like fire. It's not even real lava. It honestly, to me, looked like a ride at Disneyland.
I have a description too.
Give me the description.
The lava looked like sweet and sour sauce.
It did.
Very viscous, kind of clear, translucent, but like very viscous, sludgy.
I'm assuming it's lava. And there's just this like outline of something in the lava. And he looks down.
It looks like a starfish.
It's the glaive. And he goes ahead and he just, like, no hesitation, sticks his hand into this lava. No pain, no like, ow, or no hesitation. Puts his hand into the lava, grabs this thing, pulls it out. It's the glaive. And he holds it up and there's triumphant music that plays. And you're like, okay, so he can use the glaive to defeat the beast. We're about 20 minutes into this movie. Like, what's going on here?
That was no problem at all. Got the glaive. The glaive, by the way, does look like it's like a 5-pointed star that looks like it's made of gold, maybe some jewels in there. And by the way, there's switchblades at every single leg.
Yeah, they just flip out.
It would definitely be illegal in California. I don't know about Krull or whatever side of Krull Colwyn's on, but hella illegal over here.
Well, imagine taking that and throwing it. Like, you'd hate yourself with those blades.
Yeah, you'd have to like throw it from the inside and give it like a little flick of the wrist.
Now, if there was a device for the top, like a Beyblade, that you could like rip it at.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, maybe.
Yeah, so that's no problem. He's got the glaive and we're like, okay, cool. Let's glaive it up, baby.
It's time to glaive.
Oh, we actually did see the glaive in the beginning title card. It's spinning in space, and I thought it was supposed to be a big spaceship, but it's actually just this throwing star switchblade weapon. And it really does look like the more you know freeze frame.
Star shooting.
It looked like a studio logo when it came out and froze and said, Krull.
So we have the glaive, but now we have another issue. So the Black Fortress teleports to a new location every day at sunrise, and it's never in the same place twice.
That's conveniently inconvenient.
How do you know where it's going to go? Well, you need to find somebody who can see this. So we have to go see the Emerald Seer. The Emerald Seer is the person who can find this for us, and because they can predict the future.
I'm getting like Wizard of Oz vibes because they're throwing out the word emerald. They're really yellow brick road in it on this movie.
At one point, there's like the Emerald Palace, and I'm like, that seems like a direct ripoff.
I had a question. Why doesn't the fortress just leave?
Why doesn't the fortress leave, or why doesn't it decimate this planet? Because it clearly is superior to everything on this planet.
Yeah, so, okay, once again, the prophecy...
Whether the prophecy be true, that a girl of ancient name shall become queen, that she shall choose a king, and that together they shall rule our world, and that their son shall rule the galaxy.
Do you have to rule the world before you can have the sun and then the galaxy? Is it like a continuous step, or can you skip that step? Because if you can skip that step, just leave this planet and force Lissa to be your wife. Because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to have this alien's trying to bang this Krull lady and have a son and have him rule the galaxy.
I guess.
It wasn't explicitly said, but he kept saying like, you know, marry me, the alien beast guy, who's just, again, an ominous voice in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know how you bang a big ominous beast that doesn't exist.
Painfully, I'd assume.
Yeah.
So as they travel, Colwyn and Ynir are joined by a magician named Ergo, and this is played by David Batley. I did recognize him from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Do recognize Mr. David Batley from there. But he's like your comic relief side character, and it seems like he can shapeshift. It does seem like he's just like a drunk guy, and I don't know why he comes into play. He comes in like a literal firework, and then crashes into a lake, and then just starts kind of going on like a drunken rant, but he's not drunk. It's just how he talks.
Help! I'm drowning!
He's just this wildly eccentric weirdo.
Schizophrenic.
He's a magician, but he's really bad at his magic. He tries to turn other people into animals. He accidentally turns himself into an animal.
Is that what he was? He was a magician? Did you look that up, and is that what it said?
Well, he was like a
Because I just thought he was just a shapeshifter. Like he could just like change into animals, and that was his shtick.
He's not a magician per se. It sounded like he came from a tribe or a race of people who had magic.
Ynir said like, oh, the hill people aren't violent, or they can't do any harm. And then he's like, I'll show you. And then he turns himself into a goose.
Yeah, so I think the hill people have magic that they use. Again, this kind of goes to that weird, is this like a medieval tale where there's magicians and wizards, or are we in space?
No, it is hardcore on the medieval train at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
He's like, I don't want to travel with you losers. I'm going my own way. Peace out, bitches. Walks about 20 feet into the forest, runs straight into this creepy looking special effects makeup Cyclops. I know what you're thinking, and the answer is yes. This Cyclops is a spitting image of the inbred child they locked away in the basement of that redneck couple from Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay. He looks exactly like that Cyclops inbred child.
I wonder if they got some inspiration.
Honestly, like if you Google Krull Cyclops and then bring up a new tab and Google Harold and Kumar Cyclops, they look identical.
It's super identical.
Which is, I don't blame Ergo for running away because he is a creepy looking bastard. But he does have a very sad and tragic backstory. We learn that later.
But I also question, okay, so there's this monster, but in their world is like everyone else was like, oh, it's just a Cyclops. What are you talking about? Like Ynir and Colwyn are like, I don't like. And then Colwyn shakes his hands like, you want to come with us? Everybody needs a friend. And the Cyclops is like, yeah, I agree. He doesn't like talk weird. He's just like, yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree. Everybody needs a friend. Let's go do this.
Yeah, what's the name of the guy in the Goonies?
Captain Chunk?
No, the fucked up guy. The big giant.
Chunk. It's Chunk.
Chunk's the truffle shuffle guy. The big ogre looking thing.
Do they not call him Captain Chunk?
No, Sloth.
Sloth. My goodness. I was just caught on Chunk.
No, Chunk is the little chunky kid and Sloth.
Yes.
So you're looking at this disgusting looking creepy Cyclops with this fucked up looking special effects makeup. I want to know how that went down. Cyclops these days, you can just do CGI, you could just face map it over the actor, but this dude is literally just caked on face makeup from the nose up.
Yeah, it's just full on like mask. Like it's
like, was he blind? Was there two little tiny eye holes we didn't see? There's no way it was CGI corrected after the fact, because the effects in this movie are woof.
I'm guessing he was blind because there really wasn't a point where he moved around a lot. Most of the scenes, now that I'm thinking about it, that he was in, he's really standing still.
He's just like, they're like, just stand there, don't move. There's a wire at your foot. There's a dolly track behind you. Just literally just stay put. Just be stoic and creepy.
Yeah.
So Cyclops, he joins the gang. Now this band of criminal misfits, this does include the two well-known names of today's times. You want to name one of those guys?
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson's, you say?
It took me quite a few seconds, and then eventually I heard the voice, and I was like, wait.
Noble sentiments, but we fight for profit. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's exciting. See, I just saw his name in the opening credits, so I knew he was coming.
I didn't see it at all.
And I also saw it with the second name that's very recognizable in the opening credits. I read the name Robbie Coltrane, who we, of course, all know famously as Hagrid from the Harry Potter movies.
Let's just kill them and be done with it, Torquil.
He does look like a Mexican guy in this movie.
He has the mustache.
Yeah, I was like, he kind of looks like one of my dad's old friends at the plumber's company. That's Hagrid. So they're part of this criminal gang. And once again, Colwyn is very giddy about this opportunity to collect these band of misfits. He's really smiley. He's not really worried at all. The most he was worried was in the beginning when his dad died and his fiance got kidnapped, and he was crying on the staircase, and that was his lowest point. And from there on out, after collecting the glaive, he's just like having a great time. He's just there for the fucking ride.
He is down to party, man. Anything that comes up, he's like, all right, let's go do it. In this band of misfits too, they're like, we don't want to be like, we don't serve an army. And he's like, how about, would you serve a king? Like, are you Colwyn? He's like, yeah. He's like, my dad's dead. They're like, so you're my king. Let's go then. It's like a really like there was this weird tension for about 8 seconds, and then they're like, okay.
Well, you heard him. We are now an army.
Unpaid army.
Absolutely no problem getting everybody to join the cause.
So we start traveling. We have to go see this Emerald Seer, right? Because we got to know where the Black Fortress is going to be tomorrow. And they find him. He also has a little boy who lives with him, who just ends up tagging along as part of the crew as well. And the Emerald Seer uses his crystal to view where the fortress will teleport to tomorrow. But the beast's hand shoots in and appears in his vision, and it crushes his crystal. He's like, oh, the beast doesn't like when I look in on his happenings. You're like, well, then what good are you?
So Beast is very omnipresent. I'll say that. He can just kind of be anywhere.
Yeah, I don't.
He's almost like a devil kind of figure because he's everywhere, and he can like play mind games with certain people and get into people's heads, or just like throw out. There's a couple temptation.
He's like the death ball in Fifth Element.
Yeah, his physical form is not a death ball. It's
he does physically manifest. Yeah,
it's like a fish man.
It is a fish man. It's like the fish man in Hellboy,
or like just like the swamp thing, like that old timey 50s horror movie, like it came from the swamp or the monster of the lagoon or something. I'll look it up right now.
The creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
So now we have to travel to a swamp where the beast magic cannot penetrate. And we need to go to the Emerald Palace. In this place, the beast can't go to. Why this Emerald Seer doesn't live in that palace? Beyond me. He lives in this other place.
He lives in like a rock.
Yeah.
He's like Patrick.
We have to travel through this swamp. And what do we get, James, in this swamp?
We get slayers just rising up from the water.
Yeah, from the goo, the swampy goo.
And Cyclops hates slayers. We learned that Cyclops has a deep his kind have a deep hatred for slayers.
He kind of has this like PTSD, like psychotic break.
Don't you mean cycloptic break?
Cycloptic break.
And this is where we learn, I think the child of the blind seer who is the one who explains it. And Urgo's like super racist to Cyclops. He's like, you're scary and ugly looking. I don't like you just for that reason. And the child explains that the Cyclops species, but it's so weird because they're not a species. They only became a Cyclops species because they made a deal with the beast, aka deal with the devil, to give up one of their eyes so that they can see into the future. Here comes another devil trait. The deal isn't what it seems, and the only future they can see is the moment of their own death.
Yes.
Which sucks. So now that's the only thing you can see, and you have one eye, and somehow that eye moved to the middle of your face.
Just migrated. You don't get to be cool with an eye patch like Snake Plissken.
No.
You get mono eye right in the middle.
Special effects, puppet blinking, mono eye. Just really unsettling.
So we beat the Slayers, and something fun about the Slayers is when you stab them, they kind of explode.
So this is where we get back into space sci-fi feelings because they like a little
pop.
Yeah, so their helmet or head pops and like a alien lobster like scurries out of it. You ever seen like the episode of Rick and Morty with the one that introduced Mr. Poopy Butthole?
Yes.
Ooh-wee.
And when you kill the imaginary people, then they kind of shrivel up into little like fleshy bug slug things with sharp teeth.
Yeah.
It was kind of similar to that. Like as soon as you pop these guys humanoid form, like some lobster squid slug thing would slither out of its head and then like burrow itself into the earth. Or sorry, the Krull.
into Krull. It's really weird.
Ooh-wee!
After this fight, we get something, again, big Cutthroat Island vibes. Quicksand.
This might have been quicksand!
Okay, so at this point, I think we need to start an official Just Play It podcast quicksand counter. This is our second encounter with quicksand.
×2.
First in Cutthroat Island, now in Krull. I'm saying we're not going to see quicksand past the year 2000. I'm just going to make it a millennium thing. 20th century quicksand.
Okay. During this whole quicksand scene, they have to save someone from the quicksand. They end up losing somebody to the quicksand.
It's a guy named Menno.
Yeah, with all that we mentioned at the top of this, but there's so many names. I couldn't keep track of all the names of, oh, that's Menno and that's this guy. And I just know one of them got picked off in the quicksand who wasn't Liam Neeson.
And and a lot of them just kind of die. Like we just kind of lose criminals. And the criminal group is where we kind of needed those background characters to just kind of afford to lose, just to let us know like the danger is real. Death is an option. People won, quicksand won in the Just Play podcast saga.
I do want to bring up that it was quicksand, but I think they mentioned they're like, it's the beast. He's changing the ground or something like that. And I was like, if this beast has the ability to change the topography of Krull, you are in over your heads, friend.
Dude.
Way in over your heads.
They are so krulled, it's not even funny.
So during this quicksand fiasco, the Emerald Seer... So this person walks up behind the Emerald Seer, this creature, and shapeshifts into the Emerald Seer and then kills the real Emerald Seer in this really funny sequence. Takes over his spot, but his black eyes so that we know that it's the shape-shifting Emerald Seer, who's quickly found out. It doesn't really take too much of the plot.
No.
It's not like they get led somewhere they shouldn't. Rel and Colwyn uncover it because they're like, oh no, I actually found the body of the real Emerald Seer, so I knew this one was bad. So they just murder it.
Well, he tries to kill Colwyn, doesn't he? He like puts his hands on him, and then that's the giveaway.
Yeah, and then that's when our Cyclops is like,
nah, dog, it's a changeling. So bringing back scrolls on Krull. We got a scroll kind of power set here. Apparently the beast is packing, well, just one of these changeling guys, because he just shapeshifts into the seer and could have ruined the whole operation, but just kind of blew it.
I'm really confused as to how this beast does not already rule the planet Krull.
Because it seems like he's super overpowered.
I mean, he's murdering people. He's shape-shifting.
He's changing the ground.
He can stop people from having their visions. He's a problem. If he just didn't let anyone else devise the plan against him, he could have easily taken everything over. We have this scene where they're resting in the forest, and one of the thieves, Keegan, goes to a nearby village and gets one of his wives to bring them food. And then there's a changeling. There's another shapeshifter there that the beast is controlling remotely. Well,
is it a changeling or is it just a possessed villager?
I thought it was a changeling because it acted the same way as the Emerald Seer, right? The eyes go black.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I think she did have the same creepy long fingernails as the fake seer. She
tries to seduce Colwyn, and the beast is gonna, because right at this point Lissa's just captured, right? We haven't seen her that much.
Forgot about Lissa, but apparently she's second build on this thing.
I feel like Colwyn has too. He's just having a great time going on his adventures.
Colwyn's having a great time out with the boys, and Lissa is just a hostage.
Yeah.
It looks like she's kind of like in the bowels of the beast. It honestly looks like she's in like his small intestines or something. It's like really kind of fleshy looking walls. And he's like, you want to make love to me? And then she's like, no.
He actually takes the form of Colwyn. He's like, I could take whatever form I want.
I like this where this was going. It was like
yeah.
Mind games. Oh, do you like Colwyn for how he looks, or do you actually love Colwyn?
Yeah, they have this weird little dialogue about power is stronger than love. Like, no, love is stronger than power.
Yeah, because back at the Saturday with the Boys scene, there's the changeling who's trying to tempt Colwyn into doing some sexy time or something. But Colwyn's like, no, I love my fiance that was basically an arranged marriage because we were about to go to war with aliens. He shows Lissa the live stream of this happening because he's like, look, your boy's about to cheat on you, you dumb bitch.
He's about to bang.
And then
you dumb bitch.
And then he doesn't. And then she's like, you're the dumb bitch. Power doesn't win in the end. Love wins in the end. Well, foreshadowing for what's happening at the end. His beast plan backfires and he puts his hand out and the live stream, the footage, what do you call that? The vision?
Like a hologram.
The hologram vision of the temptation lady looks at his hand and goes, ah, and then slides out like, ah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, his hand can just enter anywhere. So I wonder what that looked on Colwyn's point of view. Was there a big hand that showed up next to?
Gets swiped off the screen.
Very smooth.
The Beast gives Lissa an ultimatum and basically says, if you become my queen, I can stop all the attacks of my slayers.
If you consent to be my queen, I will halt the attacks of the slayers. It is in your power to stop the killing and burning.
The longer you put this shit off, lady, the more people I'm going to kill. So just give it up and make love to me and let's make a space baby, bitch. And then her answer is nothing to him. She just kind of looks over her shoulders and says,
think on it.
Hurry, Colwyn.
Damsel in distress doesn't really do a whole lot in this movie. She's there.
So now we have our Emerald Seer dead. And now you're like, well, there's another dead end, right? Like we keep hitting these dead ends.
How are we going to find the fortress now? It's like, that's easy. You find another seer, someone who can also do the same capabilities that Mr. Blind Guy had.
And for Ynir's like, well, we need to see the widow of the web. And they're like, the widow of the web. They're like, how would you say? He goes, I know her real name. And they're like, her name is Death. Like, it's like, okay, I don't know who this person is, but okay.
Now Ynir is going to step up and he's going to go into the clutches of death and go into the web cave. He's going to go see the widow of the web. This was a very confusing scene. And this is the scene that I actually went back and rewatched after the fact because it doesn't take me out of it, but it's so different from what we've been seeing because it's like, okay, now he's pulling a big play here. He's putting himself in the clutches of death and he's having a big moment. And we're getting a glimpse into his past life with the widow of the web. I gotta say, it was a very captivating scene. I was like, what? Now I'm interested. What happened between these two? What the hell is going on? What is her power set? What is this big ass crystal spider that guards this yellow gem core that she lives in? So basically, Ynir and Widow of the Web, whose name is actually Lissa. So you're like, oh, okay. Same name as the prophecy. She has this hourglass that she can turn upside down and the sand runs through it. And that has this big spider who's like guarding the core room that she's in. He stops. Mr. Spider stops when the sand is ticking. Kind of gives Ynir some time to come in. And what this boils down to is Ynir comes in and says,
and I loved you, Lissa.
But you would not stay with me.
There were responsibilities, duty.
You had a son. We had a son.
Where is he?
I killed him when he was born.
And you're like, oh my God.
Kind of like a spider.
Like a psychopath.
Pretty much, yeah. But he's okay with it. He's like, I still love you. Like, it's fine. It's not a big deal.
I had to rewatch it because I was like, what the hell's going on? And she killed the son because she's like, I need to channel my rage because you left me to go be a soldier or whatever. She just says her punishment is being banished in this core of the web. So I'm like, okay, who punished her? Who put her there? Did she put herself there? Is she like hella powerful? What's her power set? I don't know. I want to know.
I do want to go back to something that Lissa's dad said, like one of the first things said in the movie was like, good soldiers make bad husbands.
Oh, that's a good callback. Two evidence pieces here. You have a girl named Lissa. You have a born son. And you're like, was this the OG prophecy? And then she fucked it up and they fucked it up.
And this is her punishment now?
This is her punishment. And then it made way for Beast to come in to start crueling all over Krull. That's just plain cruel.
It's a cruel catastrophe.
She can also see into the future. The hourglass controls the spider. At one point she says these are the sands of my life. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Ynir pleads Lissa to let him see, or he asks Lissa to see where the fortress will be next. And she supplies the answer and says, no one ever leaves the web because big spider's out there.
Big old crystal spider.
And he says, please let me go. I need to go give this information to the boys. Essentially, it's very confusing. She breaks the hourglass and says,
she's like, I can only turn it once.
Yeah. So was it just one time ever? And that was the one time she did it? Or is it one time every time some guy comes in to go say what's up to the widow of the web?
I think she like turns it and then stops it, turns it and stop. I don't know.
Okay. So basically she smashes the hourglass and says, here, you can take the sand and hold it in your hands. And I guess whenever it's pouring, the spider stops and doesn't attack. It stops being aggro for whatever reason. And she essentially says, I give my life to you, but once the sand runs out in your hands, you also give up your life. And I was just like, I'm so interested, but I don't know what the fuck's going on here. Ynir dashes out of this 3-dimensional big ass room, webs. And again, this is a huge set, very impressive looking. The spider was stop motion, pretty well done. Probably one of the best effects they had in this movie. A lot of effects were pretty dated, but this one could hold up.
I was reading up on it, and the guy who did the first version of the stop motion, it took him 2 weeks to do it, and they threw it out. They're like, do it again.
Reminds me of Ben Wyatt in Parks and Rec when he loses his job and he makes a stop motion short film called Requiem for a Tuesday. Yeah. And he's like, that took me 3 weeks. Stop motion is crazy.
It's nuts. I find it very impressive.
Good on the spider, guys. Ynir gets out, the sand runs out. He's out of breath. He's not in shape. He's like a fat old guy. He's like, the Black Fortress is going to be in the Iron Desert until sundown tomorrow. We got to go. And then he dies. And you're like, oh shit. Ynir's hella dead.
You're like, everybody's devastated. And all Colwyn can come up with is like, we'll bury him here. Just like bury the guy.
Well, you kind of have no time to bury him because this Black Fortress moves every single day, 24 hours on the dot.
At sunrise. Yeah.
So they say something like, it's 1,000 leagues from here. I guess all hope is lost. What a challenge. And then someone's just like, fire mares.
Yeah. So they steal some fire mares.
Fire mares are horses that can travel hella fast.
Super fast.
Lickety split. They just wrangle up some fire mares.
No issues there.
Just whip it up. They got fire mares. Yeah, they're in like this valley. They just kind of like tame these wild horses. And they're like, cool, problem solved. Let's book it to the castle. The Cyclops is like, I have to stay here because this is where I'm supposed to die. And then everyone kind of respects it. The child explains it to some guy and also the audience. Like, oh, I think it's Liam Neeson, his character. He says, if he's going to die, why doesn't he come with us? And the child says, well, he can die painlessly right here, or he can come with us and then die painfully. If
you don't obey like the vision of your death, it becomes super painful or something.
Who's policing that rule? Is it the Beast?
It's just the rule of Krull.
Krull.
Krull rule.
Krull. Yeah, so they get those. And I got to say something about these goddamn horses. So they tame the fire mares and they're off to the Black Fortress. And I don't know if you noticed this, Nick, but they could have definitely cut down the fire mare scene.
They could have cut down 50% of the scenes.
When they go into those sequences where it's just landscapes and music, I'm like, I kind of like doze off and I forget I'm watching a movie. So they set off at 1 hour and 29 minutes and 30 seconds on the dot. They stop writing at 1 hour, 32 minutes, 17 seconds. When Colwyn says, there it is.
It's like 2.5 minutes.
2 minutes and 43 seconds of uninterrupted horseback riding and landscape shots set to music by James Horner. And then they set off again at 1 hour, 32 and 30 seconds for another 20 seconds to James Horner music.
They have to show every side character on their horse.
Do you have any thoughts about the visual effects on this scene? We had 2 minutes and 43 seconds to appreciate it.
It's the green screen, man. It was just glaring green screen.
I know you said Escape from LA had maybe the worst screen work we've ever seen. This may be also up there.
It is up there. I will give this one more credit just because we're talking 13 years.
Also, logistically, thinking about it, Kurt Russell on a surfboard easily can be stationary in a soundstage. But these guys were actually riding horses. So I'm like, were the horses on a treadmill and the green screen was behind them? Or did they film them out in the wild riding on a horse with like a car next to them and then had to go back old school, remove the background and green screen the background? And I was like, it had me thinking, I was like, how'd they do this?
It's a good question.
They're not fake horses like rocking back and forth. That you can see they're real horses. And there's a green screen background. It was pretty interesting.
It's that like Gen 1, Gen 2 green screen where you can clearly see the outline of what's real around the person.
The lighting doesn't quite match.
Very obvious. They get to the Black Fortress and it's time to storm the fortress. They're getting pelted by slayers and they're like, there's no way we can do this. And who should ride up to help them?
Dude, Cyclops, man, he comes up and he just leads the crew up the mountain, kind of braces himself at our first set of collapsing walls in this final battle. And he allows everyone to go in, but then he gets crushed to death. And that's his painful death.
Yeah.
Kind of worth it.
Because before they parted ways, they did mention like every man has to, can't change their fate. And Cyclops is like, yeah.
Torkel, who is actually the leader of the criminals, I don't know if you caught this, but he actually throws out a yeet as he somersaults across the hallway.
He does yeet.
He was like, yeet! To avoid blaster fire from the Slayers.
Yeah, he just yeets across the hall.
He yeets so bad.
Yeet! So we have this like storming the fortress.
Everyone's kind of branching off.
They get separated. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The floor opens up. And this was another really impressive looking set. And I was like, damn, they built this thing. This is insane. And it like comes apart. It was wild.
So the guys get separated and they're all trying to find their, obviously Cole wins. Like, I have to find Lissa. That's my whole goal here. And so when he's stuck and he doesn't know where to go, he's like, I have to get through that wall. And we had forgotten about it for the last hour and 30 minutes, hour 20 minutes. But he whips out the glaive.
Yeah.
And he just hucks this thing at the wall. Now, this glaive... I have so many questions about this glaive, dude. I don't understand its physical properties. And
Colin, who didn't believe it at the beginning of this movie, is very okay with its properties and how it operates.
Is it sentient?
I don't know if it's connected to the wielder. They didn't explain that at all or even set that up.
No remote idea.
He brings up the star, switchblades come out, and he just kind of twirls it at the wall, and then it's just like a helicopter, like a buzzsaw, actually just sitting stationary in the air, cutting away at this wall. And I'm like, how is this? What's the laws of physics on this thing?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was confused about.
What's the rules?
Krull's rules.
Krull's rules. So we're seeing slayers with blasters, but then you're seeing kind of Excalibur type weapons that have magical properties, and no one's explaining how or why they work. So you're just like, what the hell is going on? What the Krull?
We also have the other crew of the thieves and them. They're trapped between like these walls with these like spikes. It's almost Indiana Jones like.
This guy Bardoff is an idiot.
Oh yeah, what goes back for his knife and gets everybody murdered.
So the walls are coming in, and there's only like these like wooden sticks sticking out. It's not like metal spikes. It's just like wooden twigs.
They're super slow,
and they look super rubbery. Just
the actual like visual of the stabbing them, hilarious.
So they start closing in, and homeboy Bardoff starts scurrying out because Torkel's like, yo, get out of there. And he drops his little dagger. It's not even a sword, it's a dagger. And then the walls stop. And then Bardoff is like, oh, that's my favorite dagger. I'm going to go get it. He fucking goes back in, and then the walls continue to close. And Torkel's like, Bardoff, no, get out of there. No, get out. No. And they're closing so slow. And I'm like, isn't the hallway right behind them? Why is Torkel and his like alleged teenage son like trapped in the spiky traps? Just take 5 steps back, dog. You're fine. Bardoff's an idiot. He went back for his dagger unnecessarily.
He also like army crawled there when he didn't have to.
the visual of the spike coming at him. It comes at him in a wide shot, and it's obviously not at his torso yet. And then the close-up shows the spike entering his body through his clothes. And then we go back to the wide shot, and it's still not there. And I'm like, wait, was that the same guy? Is that his back? I was like, no, that's the front. That's the same pattern of his like vest. It was very poorly edited, and Bardoff deserved to die.
Amen, brother.
Won't miss you.
We get that. And then our other crew is we have the boy from the Emerald Seer, and he's with Ergo, and they're getting confronted by some slayers. Ergo becomes a tiger. Now, this is a real tiger. They had a real tiger on set.
And on the planet of Krull, they have geese, they have dogs, they have pigs, and they have Siberian tigers. Because those are all the animals he changes into over the course of this film.
He was a puppy dog at one point. I forgot about that. So he becomes a tiger, and he's like walking towards this slayer, and the slayer shoots a beam at the tiger. It hits him in the paw, deflects off the paw, and strikes the child in the chest.
Like that. It's like, nice shot.
But it didn't have to happen because the child's not injured.
Trick shot.
It was like, it's not like there was like, oh my gosh, it hit the kid. Like, the kid was fine. First, the tiger's fine after getting laser beamed in the paw, and the kid's fine after this random deflection into his chest. I
don't know why it bounced off organic matter, such as a tiger's paw, but
that cost money to put in. It wasn't like it was
I'm
an
gonna
organic
note that
thing.
Down for the budget.
Yeah, please do. Something else I want to mention, because like we were talking about that scene with the spike walls and like it going in and everything. Like, even for everybody who dies, we never see human blood. And I think that because this movie is rated PG, I think that's why. It's like a lot of the cheesy effects are like to keep it like,
there was a point where PG-13 wasn't a rating yet.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Oh, I think the very next year.
1984.
Because I remember Gremlins was PG, and we watched it as like a kid, and I was like, the hell? This is not PG. This is terrifying. Oh, well, that was actually 1984 as well. But who's to say it didn't come? It's like, not January 1st, 1984.
It was July 1984.
But yeah, there was a point where PG-13 wasn't a rating yet.
Okay, that would make sense. So finally, Colwyn breaches through the dome thanks to his trusty glaive.
It was buzzsawing the whole time. Bardoff got stabbed, and Ergo got his paw shot off. We got to mention I don't know if it's after he gets shot. I think it's after he gets shot with the laser, but Ergo as the tiger just throws a Mike Tyson haymaker to one of these slayers, decapitates this dude with his tiger paw.
Just straight up whap.
Removes his head with one swipe. Not even like with the claws, like he cut it off. He just batted it off with his pure force.
These slayers are not structurally sound. Yeah, they should be able to murder a lot better.
Anyway, we gotta get to the main characters here. Where are Colwyn?
The boss fight.
Where's Lissa, and where's this goddamn fishman beast?
Well, they're about to square off, and Lissa basically says, "Hey, we need to we can't fight him in the middle of the fortress. He's too strong here." That's the first I heard of his strength being from his whereabouts within the fortress. But
how did Lissa know that?
Here we are. And so Colwyn's like, it's fine. I have the glaive. The fight isn't really a fight. He just throws the glaive. And again, this is why I'm wondering if it's sentient. This glaive just starts ripping this beast apart.
Yeah, glaive's going to town on the beast.
Yeah, Colwyn's doing nothing.
He's just standing there like that scene from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when Carlton is on the basketball team and he shoots a 3-pointer and in slow motion. He's just standing there staring at it, trying to wait until it goes in. That's Colwyn in the scene.
And finally, the glaive embeds itself into the beast. The beast is down. And then we get this 30-second.
It was, once again, a scene that could have very much been cut down, but it's so awkwardly long. It's hilarious. What happens?
Colwyn reaches out towards the glaive, trying to summon it back. And the glaive is stuck in the side of the beast's body. And it's trying to jar itself free. It's jerking itself out, wiggling. And Colwyn still has that Carlton look on his face. And he like holds his hand out again, like harder.
He doesn't say anything. He just kind of like looks more determined. Like
come on, come on,
get out of there.
And the glaive, and there's just like hopeful music in the background, like ba 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 ba. And the glaive's like trying as hard as he can. All of a sudden, the glaive gives like one last attempt, and then it just like dies. It just like slouches over and stops.
Then we give up. Then we give up on the glaive.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, cool. Yeah, I guess you really did need the glaive. Psych. No, you didn't. The beast is down, but not out, baby.
Boss battle phase 2.
Get wrecked.
With no glaive.
Krullians, whatever the hell you're called.
Something that happened in the beginning of the movie that I didn't understand what they were saying was like when the two join in marriage, they gain like fire. And I thought that was just like, oh, our two flames become one. No, apparently when they seal the deal and get married,
you get fire powers.
Can control fire. So they finish the wedding ceremony and Colin just like points out his hand and it's a goddamn flamethrower.
That's literally what I wrote down. So I said Colwyn just has flame powers now and his arm becomes an absolute flamethrower. Because in the beginning ritual, there's like a almost like a baptismal looking bath counter high thing of water, and they like put their hands in and then they bring it out and then there's like a flame in their hand and you're like, okay, cool, very symbolic magical things happening. At this point in the marriage, you are Johnny Storm. He goes flame on and just roasts this dude.
So he just cooks the beast.
Like he's shooting a lot of flames. It's like, holy shit, dude. This guy has fire powers. Let's go. They do explain that, like we hinted at earlier in the movie, they said power doesn't win, love wins. And it's the love of Lissa and Colwyn that give them these flame powers.
Seems like love begets powers.
It's not necessarily love that wins. It's fire abilities. It's being able to harness and weaponize fire. That wins.
I could not pay attention to this scene. I had to rewatch it like 3 times because the second he's like he holds up his hand and there's just like
or like those super overpowered comic book heroes where all they have to do is just kind of like try harder internally and then like more weaponized substance comes out of them. That's essentially what happened.
That's what it is.
As a flame in the palm of his hand, and then he's just like, I'm like, jeez.
Yeah, he cooks him. Surprise! Like nobody knew the beast didn't like fire.
Fuck the glaive.
Beast is dead. The fortress, I want to say crumbling, but it doesn't crumble. It like crumbles upwards.
I wrote down that it explodes upwards and vanishes.
Yeah, like the pieces break off and it's shaking and then they just float into the sky. So they escape the crumbling fortress. They're now king and queen and they're like, time to start the kingdom.
We got to name off the survivors too. Who actually made it on this fucked up yellow brick road journey.
Ergo and the kid made it out. Ergo injured. I guess that was from when they hit him in the paw.
Yeah, no, it was.
And Torkel is alive, and then Lissa and Colwyn.
And Torkel's like son or whatever.
Yeah, he made it out.
He had like a teenage son that didn't really have much to do with it.
Now it's time to walk off into the sunset. And the surviving heroes, they walk across a field, and the narrator repeats the opening prophecy again, like, the son of the queen and her chosen king shall rule the galaxy. And finish. Now, they do something fun that I enjoy. As the credits roll, throughout the entirety of the credits, it's just them walking away. It doesn't fade to black at
just
any
like
point.
The Warriors.
Yeah. It's just them walking for like 4 minutes. They're like, all right, start walking for 4 minutes. And we're just going to overlay the credits here. And that's cruel.
So cruel.
So cruel.
You know they were fishing for a sequel there when they said the sun will rule the galaxy. So in the beginning of the movie, I thought they were going to try and bang. And then we were going to flash forward out of this medieval era and then have the sun rule the galaxy. But no, that was not, didn't come up at all. I think they were really trying to have a Krull too.
They wanted it.
All right. Well, that's plot talk for Krull. Do you have any nitpicks for this movie here? Nitpicks.
Yeah, man, I do. The entire movie.
Whoa, that's not a nitpick. That's a bone to pick with the movie.
That is quite a bone to pick. It's nonsense, or at least they didn't explain it well enough. Like, so the Beast captures her, is like, "Marry me," and she's like, "No," and his whole time he's like, "Marry me." She's like, "No." Is it so that can he have kids with her? Like, he never says like we could have a son who can rule the galaxy. Like, what's the Beast's motivation?
Like I said, they don't say that at all, but that's what I'm just putting together in my head because of the prophecy. But they don't explain it. They don't lay out his intentions at all.
Why not just murder everybody, Beast?
Because I believe they say he has conquered other planets. So, like, how did he do that without making a galaxy ruling kid? He just used his powers, probably.
Yeah, it's weird. The whole movie's driving plot to me is like it doesn't ring true at all. Like, the motivation's just crap.
My nitpick is Ergo. He's underutilizing his powers. He could turn into like anything he wants, and he's just turning into pigs, a dog, and a goose. And then finally at the end, he's like, tiger time. It's like, turn into a dragon or something and fucking wipe the floor with these slayers.
Do it.
I mean, I understand he's not good at his magician job, but I mean, he was able to be a tiger at the end, and there was no progression of how he learned to elevate his skill set over the course of the movie. He just is like, I'm a tiger now. Let's go. Underutilizing the power set of Ergo. That was my nitpick.
My last one was brought up earlier. What are the physical properties of this glaive?
No idea.
It just was like at the end of the movie, it was just this like get out of jail free card.
I'll add on to this for a nitpick. I want to say, what is the point of the glaive? Because in the beginning, you're thinking, cool,
Krull.
This is the only thing that can defeat the Beast, and it does appear to be that way for a quick minute there at the end. You're like, yep, nope, Colin didn't do shit. It was all the glaive. Glaive was going to town on the Beast. So I wanted to know what was the point of it, because it obviously didn't defeat it. But I mean, I'll give it a little bit of credit. Technically, it's the thing that broke Lyssa out of that weird cocoon cage. And then they were able to join forces, join their love together, and then Colin got fire powers. So it did have some sort of purpose, but not. I just want to know, like, built up to like what it was introduced as, like this, the greatest weapon ever. It was essentially, at the end of the day, it was a glorified buzzsaw. It got this lady out of the jail cell,
I guess. All right, James, we're gonna go to talking points, and I have one, the big one that I want to bring up here. Something I hate in movies.
Hit me.
And that is what I call video game pacing.
This movie was very drawn out.
Yeah.
Could have sped it up.
So when I say the phrase video game pacing, is the movie plays like a video game wherein you're constantly doing side quests and meeting these NPC characters. And that's the way the whole movie's paced. So I like wrote it out. I was like, okay, so the whole beginning, dad dies. That's the opening cutscene for the game. And then you just go on missions, get glaive, go see Emerald Seer, acquire a companion, go to Great Swamp, Seer dies, acquire army, go to Widow of Web, another friend dies, go to Black Fortress, boss fight, phase 1, you killed it. Joke, yeah, you killed the boss with the item that you got during your journeys. Joke, boss fight, phase 2, you get this random power that had never been mentioned before to defeat the boss, and then you get an escape sequence out of the castle. Like, that plays like a video game, man. The way that we're pacing this, it's just side mission complete, next side mission complete. It just carries on like that until you finally get to the final boss.
Precisely. I had similar thoughts when I was trying to summarize this movie of why I felt the way I did about it. And a lot of it had to do with the pacing. And honestly, it could have benefited from being a whole entire novel series. Like, you really needed to flush out these side quests and these challenges, because there weren't really much challenges for Colin to overcome. Like, he gets knocked on his ass in the beginning And that's a low point, like I said earlier. But then the whole rest of it is just like, get the glaive. Cool. Like, get an army, do this, do that, bada bing, bada boom. It was like no problem. So
It's just a lot of inconveniences.
I totally agree. This needed to be a book. This needed to be a whole series. They could have flushed it out better as a TV show, where obtaining the glaive is an entire 60-minute story arc episode. And convincing this army is a whole entire story arc episode. And going to seeing the widow of the web, that's a whole episode. It seemed like they were trying to do way too much in this 2-hour movie, and it still felt like they had space to cut.
Oh, big time space to cut. And they also needed to flesh out the world more. I didn't know what was allowed in this world and what wasn't. Like, the world is just like things happen, and you're like, I guess that's normal on Krull.
All is love and cruel in the world of Krull.
Well, James, do you want to get ourselves to the budget reveal? Or do you have any more talking points?
I think that this movie was an enigma. It was an anomaly. It was an epic what the fuck fever dream journey. And I think we explored it along the way, just how Colwyn did on his Yellow Brick Road.
I agree.
Let's get into the budget. Let's reveal that budget, baby.
All right, James. So I'm gonna give you a little help here. I want to give you a little help.
Are you?
I'm gonna give you this. This is all I'm gonna give you. $1 in 1983 is equal to about $3.06 today. So when you're thinking of budget, put it in that frame, because we're dealing with 1983 dollars, right? So just think about that. That's all the help I'm going to give you.
Now I wanted to do research on this movie because I just want to know what the hell this movie is about. How did it come about? Why is it the way it is? But I didn't want to spoil the budget or the return by reading articles about how this was a box office disaster. So I do recall reading somewhere that it did have a fairly large budget for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there was these big built sets, and they're like really big. These were some huge sets. There's visual effects. There was hella horses. There was a bunch of extras at one point. There's these vast location shots. It's a long movie. It's a lot of film to use back in the day. Like I touched upon in the beginning, I honestly think this was a reaction to Star Wars and trying to hop on the Star Wars train. I'm going to say that they doubled down on the gamble. I'm taking the budget of not only A New Hope, but also Empire Strikes Back. I'm saying Columbia Pictures went so irresponsible and took the budget of A New Hope's $11 million and the Empire Strikes Back $18 million. I'm combining that. I'm saying minimum $29 million. Let's just round up to 30. We're going to round up to $30 million. That's a lot of money in 1983.
It's big money.
And I'm going to say after the dust settled, Krull took in $13.6 million at the box office. How did I do?
You did extremely well, James.
Oh.
Extremely well. The budget was $30 million.
Let's go, baby.
The return was $16.9 million.
I think, honestly, that's the closest we've gotten so far.
That is easily the closest we've gotten. But, James, I hate to do this to you. There is, much like the glaive, there's much unknown about this budget. So
I don't like where this is going at all.
There are many sources that say 30 million. However, the estimated amount on IMDb is 47 million.
What?
So this movie,
well, hold
much
on.
like the
Were you not looking at IMDb? Because that's the standard that I always look at.
It's the standard, but I'm telling you, I've looked. IMDb comes with a little quotation, estimated.
I don't like estimated. Tell me for sure. Wait, so is it 30 or is it 47?
Well, judging by a lot of articles that were written at the time that I could go back, even Variety magazine at that time put out an article saying it had an estimated, saying that the budget was 27 to 30 million.
Okay, is it 27 or is it 30 or is it 47? Hold on. If I just do it,
we're talking about Krull here, friend.
If I Google Krull budget, okay, so the simplified Google answers, the one that pop up in all big caps.
Yep.
This one says 50 million.
James, I'm going to go ahead.
What the hell? What the Krull is going on here?
I'm going to go ahead and say to you, I'm giving you this one, bud. I'm giving you the 30 million.
I don't think you can, because IMDb's are standard, and that's what I always refer to. That's the number that I originally looked up and did the calculations and saw that this was a bomb and tried to bury this into my brain and forget that number because I was the one guessing. So, damn it. Well, was I at least close on the return?
You were close on the return.
Oh, thank
the
God.
return was actually $16.9 million. So you were close there.
I was off by 3.3. That's pretty good. That might be the closest we've come, numbers wise, to an accurate guess. At the budget, fuck all, I guess. Who knows what the hell the budget was?
It's a cruel world out there, James.
I got cruelled on this one.
You got cruelled yet again.
That's like throwing a last time expired touchdown throw, and then the ref just throws a penalty flag. That's what that felt right now.
Comes in and just reverses it, overturns it.
Because if I do a quick search on the other bombs we did, they seem to match up across the board. Krull is the only problem child.
Yeah.
Like Adventures of Pluto Nash is all coming up $100 million. Escape from LA is all coming up $50 million. Well, I've been Krulled. We can put that in the L column for guessing accurate budgets yet again. Either way, $30 million, $50 million. That's a lot of dollars for 1983.
It's too many dollars.
Yeah, my guess was on the low end, apparently.
I mean, even no matter where you were at, you were still came in a little bit under. They really, like you explained it. It's the budget of 2 Star Wars movies.
That at least was accurate.
And this is the product you got.
Oof. Speaking of products, can I try and sell this to you, buddy? Can I give you my sarcastic selling point for this thing?
Let me hear it.
So this is Romeo and Juliet meets the Super Mario Bros. In the Middle Ages on a fictional planet. You got a little bit of space, you got a little bit of medieval times, and you got the basic plot that the princess has been kidnapped by the big bad monster and she's stuck in his tower and probably wants to bang her.
He definitely wanted to bang her.
What do you got?
I said it's Space Dungeons and Dragons.
But is it? I mean, like we said, after those first 10 minutes, it's all Dungeons and Dragons. There's not.
The only space part about it is the beast. That's it. Like that's the only part of this that's space. And even the beast has more mythical properties than space.
And the fortress. The fortress just vanishes like it's magic. It's not science.
Yeah, and the visions and to be able to project visions. It's really just the laser beams. It's really just the laser beams.
That's the only tie back to sci-fi.
So another part of the research I was doing is looking at this. There was a huge part of them that just wanted this to be fantasy. And instead of the beast, it was going to be like a dragon character, like a dragon monster. So it was all going to be grounded in some sort of medieval. And then they're like, dude, let's go full fantasy.
Which reinforces my thought that this was a direct reaction to Star Wars and Star Trek.
Yeah, we're talking about, Return of the Jedi's coming out in the same year. They're like, it's space. Space is everything. You got to make a space movie.
Knights in shining armor, losers. We're going to space.
And losers, we're going to space.
Final review. Fight.
I'm going to give you the tomato meter critic score. Critics are giving this a 29%, which translates to 29% of the critics thought that this was a 6.5 minimum. A 6.5 is a low bar, and 29% is a low number.
The people, however, gave it a 52%. I think this is a bit of a cult classic.
Oh, for sure. And when I was researching, I just wanted to know what the hell was going on. And a lot of the people on Reddit kind of were just nostalgic about it. But the general consensus was the memory of this movie is better than actually rewatching the movie, because a lot of them were saying it don't hold up. Metacritic, however, no different. The critics are giving this a 45 out of 100.
And the people are giving it a 6.3 out of 10. So again, we have the large dichotomy between the fans and the critics.
And I think at the same time, we should just reveal the IMDb score on 3 once again. 1, 2, 3.
6.1.
So pretty lackluster numbers here. Nick, I think we should brand this movie with our ratings and give it that sweet, sweet JPI score to really just put the nail in the coffin of this behemoth of a movie.
Let's do it.
My laughable logline for 1983's Krull. A Krullian prince goes on the hero's journey, gathering criminals, misfits, elderly men, a child, and a cyclops to battle an omnipresent alien beast with nothing but some swords and a magic switchblade throwing star in hopes to rescue his kidnapped fiance. I'm going to give this a 5.6 popcorn points.
Okay.
Super impressive sets. I can't really say that enough, but very underwhelming special effects. Obviously, the special effects are very dated. They do not hold up. The best special effects we saw was probably the stop motion spider, like we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the worst special effects was the fire mare green screen scene and Ergo transforming into a goose. Those are pretty rough.
Pretty bad.
The camp is there, and I actually thought the acting was great, despite the outrageous idea of this movie. I really think that everyone bought into their character and really went for it. And no one was really overacting or underacting. I mean, maybe Colwyn he might be just the weakest link, but it's not really Ken Marshall's fault. It's really because he doesn't have much of an arc in this movie. Speaking of like character arcs, I could actually see a couple of the characters' mini story arcs play out. So Ergo, for example, he's kind of in for it for himself. And the child who is related to the seer, the blind guy, is he like his kid or grandchild?
Like protege or something? I don't know.
Not sure, but the seer dies and the child's obviously saddened by this. And before all this, he does say, oh, I want to have, like he says, my one wish is to have a puppy. And then someone's like, you wouldn't want to have 100 puppies? He's like, no, just one puppy. And so Ergo actually... I think he's the one who says that's a stupid idea. But then later he turns into a dog to make the child feel better. I'm like, oh, Ergo. That was nice. Cyclops. Cyclops has this crazy dark backstory of sacrificing an eye to see the future. He gets betrayed. The only thing he could see is the time of his death. And he knows the fate. If he breaks that weird promise, he's going to experience excruciating pain. He decides to go against fate anyway and help out his friends in the end. So it's like cool, heroic mini story arc there. Lastly, Ynir. Ynir is this mysterious character. He's very brash in the beginning. It seems like he has no sympathy for Colwyn. He's like, quit your bitching. We gotta kick this alien's ass. Get up. What kind of king are you? I'm sick of this shit. And then he goes on his own crazy side mission of going to the Widow of the Web. We get this even crazier backstory, and then he sacrifices his life for the greater good. So I'm seeing a lot of like really cool character arcs play out. But I'm missing Colwyn's. He's not as strong as some of the side character story arcs, which is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of just gets thrown on his ass, and then he's like, okay, game time. And then he's all smiles throughout the entire thing. Glaive does his thing. We get that mysterious superpower that comes out of nowhere that's unexplained. And that's it. Lissa is just a damsel in distress. We touched upon the glaive's properties. I don't understand its powers. I don't understand its rules of operation. And ultimately its points. It's used to break her out of jail. And that's about it. They do build it up that's more than that, but that is literally all it is.
That's all you get.
Like we said, there's a little challenge in obtaining the glaive. There's a little challenge in obtaining the band of misfits. There's conveniently not one, but 2 seers that can locate the Black Fortress. There's little challenge in wrangling the fire mares. Only challenges that Colwyn faces is a couple of battles with slayers, a temptation scheme with a siren-like character from the Beast, and he can't save Menno from the quicksand. Those are pretty much his downfalls. After Colwyn's father gets murdered, Lissa gets kidnapped. He's just pretty happy-go-lucky. Many side characters lose their lives. Ynir, Cyclops, even Widow of the Web sacrifices herself. She's on screen for like 5 minutes. They actively make sacrificial plays. But Colwyn sacrifices nothing. There's lots of interesting things that going on here. Like I said, I think this would have done better as a fleshed out book series. Instead, I feel like it was a studio's response to Star Wars. They tried to cash in on that sci-fi space train started by George Lucas. I feel like Columbia greenlit Krull to try and recreate the success based on someone else's formula. But when you create something out of reaction and not out of pure creative process, that's where you lose. And when the decision was made by Columbia, that was the moment they sealed the fate of Peter Yates's Krull. And the secret to defeating the beast that invaded Krull was love. And love is exactly the key ingredient that was missing in the treatment of this movie.
Wow.
Still better than Volcano.
Yeah.
I did rate it, what did I give it? Did I give it 5.5 or 5.6?
I think 5.6.
Yeah. So I actually do rate this above Cutthroat Island because I gave Cutthroat Island a 5.5 because that seemed like it was just kind of all plot, all action, all camp. This one seemed very similar, except this probably had way worse rewatchability and tone and vibes. Like 10 minutes into this movie, Emily looked at me and said, no, not for me. And I said, if I didn't make this podcast my hobby and my duty, I would say the exact same thing. I would be like, this looks awful. I want nothing to do with this.
Elizabeth walked in for about 3 minutes of a scene and was just like, I don't know why you guys do this.
Yeah, it was the vibe, the rewatchability, entertainment value was kind of there, but ultimately stories, characters, they win the first place podium for me. But this one had glimpses of good qualities, but so much weirdness, weird vibes, campy stuff, bad visual effects. And I just don't think it was made with good intentions.
All right. That was very thorough. I appreciate that.
I had a lot of time to think about it. Through that horse riding scene, I had a lot of time.
So my laughable log line is this. When his queen is captured by some weird-ass beast, a king must embark on multiple side quests to retrieve a sentient glaive and defeat the beast. 2.7.
Oof.
This is not a good movie, dude. This has very few redeeming qualities, in my opinion. Like I said before, the pacing of it, just the multiple side quests. Oh, go here. Now we go here. Now, there's no like overarching plot that's motivating the characters on a minute-to-minute basis other than the task that's in front of them. You did mention there is some character growth, but it's so like...
You really do have to look for it yourself.
You have to look for it, and it's so like forced it in your face almost. Like the tone of the characters really don't change. It's like, oh, they just do a few things. Even Ynir, even his thing with the Widow of the Web, like you can't just spring something on me that's unexplained. Like I didn't know he had a previous love. He just goes, finds this woman, and we find out they had a kid and she killed him. Like, there's so many things that happened on Krull that had no explanation, no backstory. Like I talk, like this is my biggest issue all the time is world building, especially in fantasy. Like that's the number one thing, right? Star Wars does it. Like it builds the world for you. You're like, okay, as I'm watching it, I'm getting more familiar with the world around me. It just keeps throwing new shit at you, and then it finally just gives you the big F you at the end of just this guy has fire powers. Like I had no idea that was coming.
But they did drop building because they got fire in their hands in the beginning ritual.
Yeah, on a torch. I didn't know he was going to have human flamethrower. So it's stuff like that where I don't understand how any of this works. The movie's called Krull, and Krull is the planet, and I know nothing about the planet Krull.
Has quicksand.
It's medieval, but there's aliens, and it's a mess. It's a mess. It's too long, and in the time they had, they maybe explained 20 minutes worth of story, and the rest of the hour 40, there was just nothing going on. It was a side quest. It was just a lot of inconveniences, right? It was like, oh, we got to find out where the Black Fortress is coming up next. We find that out. They have to find that at like 25 minutes in. And we don't find out where it's coming up next for the next 50 minutes. It's like, what were we doing in that 50 minutes? Just puddling around the planet Krull. Just kind of walking around the planet Krull. Also, like, I'm so confused. The kingdom is is tiny. It seems like it's just one castle. Where's the rest of the people here? Is there like a village? Is there like a whole country you're in charge of? Is there an army? Like, what is this world? What are we doing? It's the story's awful. Just terrible.
I agree. There's not really much. There's no story. And like I said, for Colwyn, he doesn't have a strong enough character arc to promote a story in this movie. It's really just like little tiny side characters having their own little heroic moments, and that's about it.
Like some of the side characters grow, but the issue with that is like I see the character, I meet him at this point in time, and then by the time I leave him, he's grown. But like Ergo, what's the dude's story? Why is he a prejudiced prick? I don't know. He just is. Like, things just are, and then you have to accept 5 minutes later after a giant horse scene that things have now changed. And why? Who the fuck knows? Why anything's different than it was 10 minutes ago or 30 minutes ago. And again, this glaive seems like it could have solved a lot of problems along the way. And he just kept it in his pocket until imagine when the Slayer showed up and he just busted out the glaive and just, what about, he could have killed that spider with the glaive, I'm sure.
They do give a sorry ass blanket answer of, because I thought that too. I was like, why doesn't he just whip out the glaive anytime someone steps up and tries to be a tough guy on him? But the Ynir says like, oh, can't use it until you're ready. And he's like, how do I know when I'm ready? And he's just like, you'll know. I'm like, okay, Yoda.
Yeah, so it's weird shit like that. It's a 2.7 for me. I wanted to go lower, but I can't put it below Pluto Nash.
We all know what's coming. Pluto Nash, the infamous 2.6 rating for Just Play.
That is quite a bar for me to go below. So it's a 2.7. I think it's the first time I've given. No, it's not the first time I've given the same rating, but it's the exact same rating as Stealth. I will not watch this movie again.
I probably won't unless I'm super drunk on a Sunday morning and Krull's on Sci-Fi, and I'm like, yeah, Krull. But I doubt that will ever happen. I gotta say, talking about these ratings, we gotta step up our game here on season 2. The best movie we've seen so far is Big Fat Liar.
We're diving into the dumpster, buddy.
We might be losing listeners because they're probably like, what the hell is Volcano? What is Krull? What is Windtalkers?
They're bad movies. We got to get the bad movies out of the way so we can jump back up to the good movies.
Yeah, if you're not with us when we're watching bad movies, then I don't want you with us when we're watching good movies.
This is what really separates the men from the boys here.
I did write this down for reference of my emotional reasons for ratings. So you gave this a 2.7. So in that category for me, for my own reference, that means I'm angry at this movie.
That's where I stand.
I didn't have the same amount of hate for this as I did for Pluto Nash because I just thought this is stupid. And I felt Pluto Nash had no redeeming qualities. So I was like angry at that movie. And then below 1, I say I loathe everything about this movie, the purpose, the plot, the people who made it, everything. Hate it all. So with me giving this a 5, it's kind of that gray area between below 5 is I was not captivated. I was not emotionally involved. I had very little reaction to it. And I was actually engaged with this because I did want to know what was going to happen. It does keep you on your toes. And then anything in like the 6 range is like a meh. I found some sort of entertaining value in it, but not necessarily a good movie. So it's kind of in that purgatory between those two descriptions for me.
Yeah, see, keeping you on your toes, every time they said they were going to go do something, they just did it. And it just took you 30 minutes to get there.
Not on the surface, but I just wanted to know, like, I wanted to investigate deeper. Like, what is the meaning of this? Who is the Widow of the Web? How'd she get her powers? They never explain it, but I just wanted to know.
I don't see. I think you get negative points, not bonus points for that.
I didn't say bonus points. I'm just saying it's at least entertaining me to a certain degree.
Yeah, but if you're just given just like, hey, this just is, and we're not going to explain it, I think you should get negative points for that. You don't get to do that as a filmmaker. Let me share something with you. Our director, Peter Yates, he described making Krull as complicated and just so enormous. He hated working on the film so much that in the middle of shooting, he took a vacation to the Caribbean. He said, fuck it. I can't. I'm leaving. He took a 3-week break and just took off to the Caribbean because he hated this movie. So I don't think I'm alone here. I think our director at a certain point resented this film.
Nick, my rating of 5.6 still translates to bad movie.
I know.
There's no doubt about it. I'm just saying it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. Well, that was Krull, ladies and gentlemen.
Maybe I'm just a little more Krull than you.
I don't know why I have to be such a Krull boy, but just see the glass half Krull with me. Please, I beg of you. Hopefully we correct the course next week, where we will be continuing our franchise journey on the road. Please follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Just Play It Podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at Just Play It Pod. Please remember, go Krull yourself.
This is what we're doing.
Yay! There was a difference of opinion concerning a gooseberry pie. I might have been sucked to my death while you stood there gawping.
What the Krull is going on here?